Hello everyone, my name is Joshua with Fixedearthfree. Let's look at a new card, shall we? It's wet, it's been raining. So I kinda don't love the idea of putting my cards on this wet tailgate. Do I take? Yeah, let's do this. We're doing it live. Okay, there we go. So, what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at a single card, and we're going to determine what that card means. Often I will lay them out in an equal armed cross layout. Them being, I will pull a couple of extra cards as a way to help me elucidate the meaning of the first card that I pulled. The first card being the center of that equal armed cross. And sometimes I will talk a little too much about it. What is too much anyway, really? Okay. Yeah, that's good. So I pulled this reversed, but it is the Four of Swords, which I find interesting because last time I did one of these, I pulled the Four of Swords in addition to some other cards, and it popped out at me. Its meaning popped out at me then. So, in fact, I think I've pulled this 2 times recently in one video that I did not release because it was too personal. So it's very interesting that this one pops back up to me. I think it was reversed then too. Cool. So, Four of Swords. One of the first things I get is laying things to rest. Specifically laying, swords are the suit of air or thought, communication. So I think of this as laying thoughts or old patterns of thought, ways of thinking, mindsets. Laying those things to rest and just letting them be gone. I have a friend I was talking to one day, and I was telling them what how I felt about the past versions of Josh. I was telling them about this past Josh. I was so glad he was dead, and this friend said to me, "Yeah, and you lay flowers on his grave," and I was like, what do you mean? You know, I just, it didn't occur to me that I could treat this past version of myself with kindness, respect, honor. But then I gave what they said more thought. And it came to me that yes, of course, yeah, I might not like some of the things that past Josh did, but he did the best with what he had. And he got us where we are right now. So laying something to rest doesn't necessarily mean that you are hateful toward it. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're just like, oh, glad to see that go. You can lay something to rest with honor, with respect, with reverence even. And I think that that's what this card indicates. It's not like an unmarked grave, you know, a mass grave, a ditch. It's what has been laid to rest here is being deeply honored. It's in a place of worship, and I mean, look at the reverence and honor placed over this this figure here. If we take the reversal of this card, I struggle sometimes with not just assigning every reversal as like the opposite day version of the upright card, and so I'm going to be careful not to do that here. My initial impression was there's something that you're not laying to rest, because I think there's something that I'm not laying to rest, and that's probably the message that I'm getting here personally. But it doesn't have to be that. It can also be that maybe you're laying something to rest that doesn't need to be laid to rest. Maybe you're trying to be rid of something that actually deserves further examination. It deserves further acceptance maybe needs to be integrated instead of gotten rid of, right? I feel like there's also a certain aspect of death, resurrection, but not necessarily in the same way that the judgment card might indicate resurrection. Of course, I'm thinking of the phoenix. Something is allowed to burn away and something new is born in its place. That's also more like death card, judgment card, I think. It's just a consideration. It might be just like a minor version of the same thing. My elbow keeps sticking to the shirt. I love the texture of the shirt. Anyway, that's the whole thing. So we're gonna put that down. What are we gonna put above it? The star reversed. These reversals, my dude. The star has a nurturing quality to her. She's nurturing the material and the spiritual. She's caring for both. She's aware of both. Again, I'm not just going to automatically assign this as that not happening, but I am going to give it some level of, there is an obstacle to that. When something is not being properly laid to rest, or when you're trying to lay something to rest that doesn't necessarily need to be laid to rest, it can create an obstacle in your capacity to nurture the soul and the body. You know, it's a well-documented fact that mental, emotional issues in a person's being can create physiological issues like sickness. So I think there's a little bit of that going on here. Below, we will lay the sun reversed. Is every card going to be reversed? Yeah, you're just like there's something blocking the nourishment and the nurturing aspect here when things are not properly laid to rest. There's also something just blocking the sun. It's not as if it's not as if it is not shining. The sun is always shining. If a cloud gets in the way, that doesn't mean the sun has stopped shining. That just means that we can't necessarily see it at this time. That there is something blocking not only the light from reaching us, but the light from escaping us. And this is really interesting too, because there was something that I have considered today, something that I was experiencing very strongly there for a week or two, and I just haven't felt it lately, and maybe this is why. So if you're not laying things to rest properly or trying to lay the wrong things to rest, if you're not in alignment with the natural cycle of when it's time to put things down and just let them be, give them their due, give them their honor, and let them go, there's a high chance that you're going to end up blocking the light that shines on you, through you, and out of you. And that's not a great thing to do, right? Because we need that, and the world around us needs that. The light that you shine, no one else can do it. No one else can do that. Your flavor, your thumbprint on this world is not replicable by anyone else. It is vital, not just for yourself, but for the world around you, that you shine your light. And if you find something that's blocking that, that's preventing that, that's making that harder, it is the best thing for you and for the world around you to identify that blockage and work through it, get it removed so that this can happen again. Let's look at what we'll put on the left. Another reversal. Ten of Pentacles reversed. Transiting Chiron has moved into my into the sign of Taurus. I am a Taurus sun, Taurus rising. Transiting Chiron is aspecting my natal Taurus very hard. And at the same time, Uranus is hitting my moon and natal Chiron pretty strongly as well, as a number of other things like Pluto square Pluto, Neptune square Neptune. There's a lot going on. I always feel when I pull this card that that this figure in the foreground is being excluded, and he's on the outside. He's outside these city gates. These folks are associating with one another, and they're not associating with him. It might be an illusion, man. I think this reading's for me again, but I'm gonna post it this time. It might not be happening the way that I feel like it's happening, and that's been very proven to me recently, that some of the situations, I might be making mountains out of molehills, let's put it that way, where some of the chill situations, relatively chill situations that I find myself in, I might be, those might be shining through the lens of that chironic wound light and causing me to feel this way, when truly it's just a minor version of it that I'm exacerbating. So I think that if there are things that are not being properly laid to rest and things aren't in the natural cycle, there can be that tendency to assign a situation to ourselves that isn't really accurate. We might tell ourselves that we're being excluded, we're being kept out. But truthfully, there's just something within us that's out of alignment. And until we get that thing in alignment, the light's not going to shine the way it's supposed to. We're not going to receive or give the nourishment that we should be receiving or giving. And things just aren't going to feel harmonious and, what is the word, copacetic? I don't even know what that word really means, but I'm assuming that it applies here. And on the right, let's just go ahead and finish this beat down. This is so similar to the reading that I deleted the other day. Okay. I've talked about this one. I keep pulling this card. I've talked about this one quite a bit recently, where the self is pulling in the disparate and scattered mental energies that are pushed out in different areas. I think in this case, the self might be convincing himself that that's what's going on. But really, a bit more of this, and thinking more on this card now with this in mind, this figure in reverse, I think he's keeping himself out. And that kind of goes in line with what I said before, but these figures upright, yeah, he might be being kept out of the city. He might be excluded by these figures. Reversed, it's almost like he's putting that on himself, and he's taking that role on him for himself, and something of a victim mentality, right? In this situation, if this is going on, it might be some shadowy, confused version of thinking that you're doing this, when really you're doing this, and you're not properly laying things to rest. There is a gathering, there is a collection of the disparate parts, but it's not by a conquering hero the way that it feels like it is. It's a bit more of a petulant well, fine, I'll take my toys and go home kind of feeling, right? And that sucks. That's not fun for you. It's not fun for anyone. And I feel like all of this is indicative of what it's like to not be in the natural cycle of laying things to rest when it's time to lay them to rest. Whether that means too early, too late, you're laying the wrong things to rest. So be careful not to latch on to things or let go of things when it's not really in the natural timing and natural cycle. All right, let me show you guys this reading. Boom, there she is. Let's put that back how it's supposed to be. So, putting all this away, trying to get home and take care of my responsibilities. I want to look briefly at how we might take the energy of the Four of Swords into our lives, and more importantly, how we might avoid the energy of Four of Swords reversed. I think some careful self-examination is required to really know when you're in that natural cycle of allowing something that has run its course to meet its natural end. There's something, the benevolent nature of Saturn exists in the ability to pinpoint and bring to an end things which have reached their natural death, the point of their natural death. They've run their course. Trying to keep something resurrected that needs to die is not a worthy endeavor. It doesn't end well for you or anyone. Just letting things go. And again, we're talking a lot about the thoughts and the mental patterns and the mindsets here. If something needs to die, it's often not something external, not something concrete. It's often something internal. It's something, a pattern that exists within you that keeps reoccurring in your life over and over and over as a way to bring something to your mind and to your awareness that you need to lay down and let go. Reversed, we have to be careful not to just say, okay, things need to die. Well, let me go get my scythe and just go cutting everything. That's not the way either. That's also out of balance with nature just as much as the former. Be careful, observe carefully, and kind of go into the flow of that feeling, and you'll know what it's time to let go of. If there's something you're afraid to look at, like we talked about last time, that might very well indicate the place you should be looking. And in that place, with that effort of awareness, you'll discover the types of things that should and shouldn't be let go of. And you'll find a way to bring a natural, peaceful, harmonious end to cycles, mindsets. Now, bear in mind, there are mourners at this funeral, right? I'm not saying it's pleasant. When I say a peaceful and harmonious end, I'm talking about peaceful and harmonious here. The peace and harmony of knowing that you're doing the right thing, not exactly the peace and harmony of everything just going sunshine, rainbows, butterflies in your life, because that's not how life works. I think we all know that. So carry that Four of Swords energy, really take some time and meditate on it, contemplate, figure out exactly what it is that you should be doing. I have every faith in you, and I'll see you next time.